Hello everybody, my name is Farmer Phil, and in today's video we are going to be getting this shed ready for calves. So as you can see, we have the shed cleaned out. All the bull weanlings are outside, yearlings, whatever you want to call them, and we're ready to get going. So a little bit of work to do, quite a bit of work to do. There's still some piles of muck I have to get gathered up. So the plan is to put in the chicanes and put in a heap of lime, because we are all, as always, we're running tight. This shed, we won't have time to power wash. I could get power wash, but it'd take a couple of days for it to dry. Don't have a couple of days for it to dry. So we're going to plaster the place in lime. I have to get the door shut and secured. I have to get sheep gates up to block off corner off here. I have to get the calf feeder down, popped in. I have to get some hay and straw bales just to kind of block up some of the front. We'll be having the calves that they can come up into this end of the shed, so we'll be giving them a lot of space. They'll have plenty of space, but we'll be separating off this area here, just keeps them away from the feed barrier, because they'll end up walking through it. Give me some space. I get that trailer load of turf, still a trailer full of turf, get that backed in there. And yeah, one of the things that I do want to do now, I know Father Phil put them bales there, but the biggest issue with this shed when we get it in calves is the floor. The other calf shed, I'll go up and I'll show it to you, but the other calf shed has a sloped floor, and all the liquid runs out of the shed into the drains heading for the reception pit to go out as slurry. But this shed has no drainage system. Everything kind of slopes to that corner there, and we always find that we get a month into rearing calves, or that end of the shed is just absolutely, you can hear the squelching under your feet. It's not great. Always sick calves always lie in that corner. So what I'm hoping to do is leave them bales in such a way there that I'll be able to move two bales and get in and be able to clean out this end of the shed more regularly. Maybe clean it out every 2 weeks, week, whatever kind of works, to try and keep that liquid out of the shed and to keep it out. We may even swing around that big gate and have it that the calves are kind of shut out this end of the shed. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how we get on with it. We may do that, we may not. It's just we have all this extra space now, so the calves couldn't have any more space really. They'll be loving it. Yeah, so anyways, that's what we have to do here. So we have a lot of work to do, so I'll show you the other thing we have to do. And this is the other thing I have to do. I have to get the hay shed cleared out, so all the hay, the trailer load of turf, and just tidy up this area here and get this all blocked off. Probably have to use some of the straw bales under the canopy there for what I have to do, and use up the hay if I have to. We also have to move the bulls and get that shed cleaned out, and some of the hay will be going in there as the bulls are going to the other side of the shed, keep all the bulls together. But that's the plan, that's the story. We get stuck into it. So now, that's the shed limed. Next job is going to be get the trailer turf back down in there, and then get the bales and start putting my bales, my chicanes where I want to go. And then I'll get the straw blower to bed the shed, because it's going to have it nice and fluffy for the calves. So that's the plan. So we'll go get some straw. Also, you can hear Father Phil cleaning out sheds behind there with the new veneer open shovel. So yeah, I know I should be filming that, but just one job at a time, one set of filming at a time tends to work best. You try to film too much at once, you can get a bit messy or a bit difficult. But anyways, we go on the forks. We'll go move the trailer, then we get the forks on, and we get bales of straw in here, and we'll make up our chicanes like we do every year. Maybe try and put more chicanes in here this year than we have done in other years. I will try and use all square bales if I can. It's just that little bit easier, and the calves don't seem to be going after the twines on them, not like the nets on the round bales. But anyways, we get to it. Now that is all the straw laid out in the shed. So we'll go bed the shed now with the straw blower. Make our lives that little bit easier using it. Anyways, this shed, Liv is just getting sheep gates lined up. That's what we use for dividing up the shed. The reason for all these bales just placed sporadically is, I call them chicanes, that's what I call them in the shed. But it's to break any draft, any breeze, any wind that blows through the shed. And it gives the calves the most comfortable setup going. You'll see it in the other shed. We'll have a walk through it later on when we're getting the calf feeders from over there. But if the wind is blowing that way today, the calves will lie them side of the bales. If the wind changes tomorrow and blows that way, the calves lie the other side of the bales. And it just gives the calves so much more comfort rather than having the shed basically nothing in it. And if the wind blows from one end to the other, they've nowhere they can get nice and snug. So we'll have a fair few bales in. So we'll also, with the chicanes, we bed with them as we get on through the season. We'll start off by using them top bales there. And I actually have all the bales I can take out of our big stack of square bales that I can use, because if I take any more out, I'm opening up the other shed, which we don't want to do yet. So hopefully we have some round straw bales on an out farm. We'll get some of them back to use for bedding, not to use the chicanes too early in the shed. But that's why we've done that. Anyways, we take the twines off these bales, we get the straw blower and we blow in. But one thing I'm going to do, and I don't know how successful it's going to be, but I have me bucket of lime here. Oh, there's quite a lot of lime in it. And I'm going to peg some on these bales for throwing them in. And well, see what happens. It's going to put more lime in the shed, which is going to be no harm. And it might scatter it and blow it and might be a good job. What do you think, Liv?
It'll be a mess.
You think it'll be a mess? Well, we'll see how it goes. But I think it might be a good job. It's going to get more lime into the shed and more nooks and crannies. So anyways, we'll get this shed bedded up. Also, the veneery was parked in the way, but I will just blow around it. I don't think that went too bad. Couldn't put straw there, it just blew up backwards. So there is in little piles, but we'll shake out these piles and get the fork. But it's not too bad now. 3 bales of straw in, and the lime, you seen the lime, it just went everywhere. Absolutely everywhere, so done its job. Anyways, that's that done. So now the next job is I've got told I have 30 calves coming tonight. So I need to either have the feeder set up here and feeding, or 30 calves in the other shed. So my next move is take all the hay out of the hay shed, so that way I don't get caught not having this right in case there's anything wrong with the feeder. Feeder hasn't been plugged in yet. So I think that's my next best move, and I'll build up some hay that side of the barrier, just to maybe stop some, because if we did get a strong winds from this side, there's not much to stop the wind coming in. Anyways, we get stuck into it. we're just in the hay shed now. So it's dark on camera at the minute. That's just GoPro's desperate bad at light. It is starting to get dark outside, but that's the hay shed emptied out. So I have one bale of straw, take the net off and shake out. We'll do that when we're feeding the calves later. The other bale I'll take the net off and leave to bed then later. And there's the calves there, so it's just a matter of taking them gates out, moving them down there. I'll have to do something about that gap there. I might see can I root out a square bale, but that's in there. I'm starting to run out of time now, so I'm not going to get the calf feeder put in the bottom shed today, but I'll get it done tomorrow, so we'll video that tomorrow as well. What I have to do now is we have to get calves fed. I have to pick bullocks and heifers for going to the factory tomorrow, and we have to go pick up the 30 calves. That's why I won't get the rest of that done, but I'll get it done tomorrow. We'll also have to sort out these, but we'll do that when we're feeding them, and we'll show you that. But yeah, just a little bit annoying, but sure, it is what it is. I'll get it done tomorrow, and I don't have very little left in the other shed. It's just a matter of gates and get the feeder in, so that's the joys of it. So, it's the next day, we're in the calf shed. These are 28 calves we picked up, very, very nice calves. Mostly Angus here, I actually think. But very, very nice big calves. So we have our shed expanded, as you've seen. Not much of a panic on up here. But just on the last video I put up when the calves were sick, and they were rightly sick them few days. But the calves are well improved now, very, very well improved. May have one or two every now and again with a bit of a scour, but nothing major. We didn't lose any, touch wood, which is amazing. But the calves are doing so much better. And one of the things a lot of people are saying we weren't set up as a bad setup and all that. I know when you had 40-50 calves all down this end of the shed, it did look like a lot. Now there's 155 calves in the shed with these 28 going in. But we have expanded the area for them, so they have the hay shed now as well. But I'll just show you in a minute. As people were saying in the last video, it's a bad setup and we should invest in calf sheds and whatnot. But in our opinion, this is our best calf shed. There's a couple of reasons for this. Now, some of you are saying the low roof means it must be stuffy, it poor airflow and ventilation and whatnot. The low roof, we take more advantage of what's called the stack effect, which is where the heat from the heat generated from the calves heats up the air. Hot air rises up and it brings in fresh air from below. And in this shed you can see it on a calm day where there's no wind. At the minute it's very windy and there's a good airflow going through the shed, but on a calm day where there's no wind, you'll still feel that air moving through the shed, whereas you won't in our other shed that we're setting up, which is a much more open shed. But because of the size of the shed, the calves can't heat that airspace. We always have less problems in this shed on a normal year. Less mortalities, less sickness, and that's down to one being the stack effect. The other thing, this shed has a slope in it, so everything drains out of the shed and it gets caught in our drainage system, goes to the reception pit, which the other shed doesn't have. Now, and another thing, people are saying why don't we put them in pens, a station to a pen, or that's what a lot of people suggest. We've tried that, and what we'll see at the minute, if I just get in here, these guys are in the training pen, and when we get these and probably another day or two, we'll let them in with the rest. But anyways, what you'll see here at the minute is we have the majority of the calves are down there, the vast majority of them. When we go back to shed, we have a few calves, not a lot of calves, but you'll notice something as we go down here. It's that little bit colder, and it's quite windier because the wind is coming in here, and we've left less calves down here because this area down here today is not the best place to be lying. It's that little bit colder, it's that bit more drafty, whereas where the calves are at the minute, or the majority of them, is very, very snug because of the direction of the wind. Now if we had this separated in pens with stations here, there, yonder, the calves that are there today, they're living it up. The calves that are in the middle or down the bottom, wherever they're penned, they're not going to be so comfortable. They're going to be that bit colder because the way the wind is blowing. And then tomorrow the wind changes, the calves there are going to get cold, and the other calves will be fine. And we've always found, since we went to just one big open shed, the calves lie wherever the best comfort is in the shed, and that just helps reduce the stress. It gives the calves, the calves get the best life. People are saying as well, do we feed them straw and hay racks or that? This is the straw. Calves will eat this out of a face. All the bales that's scattered around, they're pulling at them. Like you can see the round bale that's there, there's a calf eating away at that at the minute, and the hay we've left loose on the side there, they're eating away at that at the minute. Another thing, why don't we clean out her sheds every week? Well, apart from the fact the chicanes are kind of in the way, if we were to clean out the shed every week or every 2 weeks, every time we clean it out we have to push all the calves into a corner. We have to push the calves somewhere, we have to move them around, and that's causing stress on the calves. And the more stress you put on a calf, the more susceptible they become to diseases and viruses and pneumonias. So the best thing with calves is to make sure they have as stress-free a life as possible, to try and reduce all of that. And you can see at the minute there's a handful of calves there waiting to be fed. Most of them are probably there because I'm here, but the shed is very nice and relaxed. And that's it. I think I've covered everything. Have I, Liv? Yeah. So that's why this shed is our favorite shed. Also, with the stations and feeder being at one end of the shed, we've always found that this shed we have less pets. Huh? Yeah, he's finished. We've less pets in this shed because the calves all come to the one corner, the one end of the shed to feed. Whereas if your stations are in the middle of the shed, they kind of congregate around the middle, and it's not as easy for them to get in, especially with the smaller calves. At the minute, I think this morning we had 9 or 8 calves to feed. Give it another week or two when the calves get that bit older, a bit stronger, get onto it better, we should be down to 2 or 3 provided nothing goes wrong. But the calves have well improved, and they're on 7 litres of milk at the minute. You can see yourself really starting to shape up. Like that lad is nearly the full of the feeder now. So we get these few lads fed. Our next job then is get them stations down to the other shed and get that set up for the next calves. So now we'll have to, nearly ready now, just have to put all these pipes together. So I have blowtorch to heat the ends to get them on that a little bit easier, because they're quite hard going on, and I don't have my heat gun, which I normally have for this job. So I've got to start off in order. So I can figure out what's in order. It's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So this is number 1. So I was just putting the feeder together when Father Phil come down and says don't bother, they're coming to service it, change all the pipe work in it, so that kind of needs to be done anyways. Cut to when the first calves come for the shed, so I'm not going to set up any gates right until we see how many come, and then we'll sort that out. But I just put together, bring back the tools, set up put the pallets together. But yeah, that's the feeder in now, just a matter of getting it serviced, and this shed is ready for calves. Simple. And now we are back in the shed. So I'm pretty sure I finished up. We were just getting ready to plug in the feeder when I got told don't, it was being serviced. Last changed. Should have done some bit more filming, but I didn't. Don't ask me why, I just didn't. But anyways, so we're busy. The feeder is now serviced, all's working, all new pipe work in the stations, and we have 90 calves in the shed already. And isn't it 90, Liv? Yeah, there's 3 goes at 30, wasn't it? Yeah, there's 90 calves in the shed, so we're just after expanding their area, giving them another bay. So maybe by Wednesday now we'll give them the rest of the shed. We'll just keep the area small at the start, just to try and get them trained into the feeder better. because they can't go as far away from the feeder, so they're more likely to feed. That's what we've always found. I have to show you a calf that arrived on the last load of calves. We've called them Chunk-a-Saurus, because look at that chunky boy. Look at the size of him. He is ginormous compared to a lot of other calves, to every other calf. There's no other calf as big as him. And like, he's not old, he's not by any means of the world like a month older than everyone else. He's roughly speaking the same age as the rest of the calves in the shed. Now there's an Angus there beside him. See the size of him. Chunk-a-Saurus. Liv is getting mobbed. Just absolutely amazing. Now, what kind of breeding you think is in him? You would think he would be from a beefy breed because he just is that size, is a nice shape to his back. But he is a Norwegian Red. He is out of an FRX cow and a Norwegian Red bull. He's not red, but just look at the size of him. We actually got quite a few Norwegian Reds on the last load, and just to show you some of the others if I can find them. There are some very nice shapy Norwegian Reds, so there is. So this red guy here, he's another one. He's a little bit empty of himself, but he's a big calf and he's not too bad a back. That red lad there is a Norwegian Red out of a JEX cow. Same, nice bit of shape and the size in him, especially for a J out of a JEX. But there is more. I think there's about 10 Norwegian Reds in here. Norwegian Red crosses. They're all crossed with either Jerseys or Friesians. There's no pure Norwegian Reds. But where's Chunk-a-Saurus gone? Where's Chunk-a-Saurus? There he is. But they have turned out, especially this guy, just some lump of a calf. Some lump of a calf. And if you remember rightly, the first load of bulls we had 3650, who was an FRX, but he was part Norwegian Red, and he killed very well, and he was a very lovely shapy bit of a bull from the same herd as them Norwegian Reds we got this time. But I am going to go look at it and see what sire them calves, because he is very, very tasty. Very, very, very tasty bit of a bull. So anyways, we're going to leave it at that for today's video. That's 90 calves in the shed. Only another 60 more. 2 more loads of calves and then the shed is full. That's it. We are finished buying calves. Get them reared and hopefully, touch wood, have no major issues. Anyways, we'll keep you updated on that Chunk-a-Saurus, as we call them. It's a good name, isn't it, Liv? Chunk-a-Saurus. But we're going to leave it at that for today's video. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel. Videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday. That is it from us. Good luck.